Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. For today, I thought I would talk about an announcement from Tesla about their 100 millionth 4680 cell that they have produced, and this is across all of their factories. Now, the last time we got an update was in June. It was 50 million, so they've done 50 million in about 100 days, which is amazing. And this is due to a lot of hard work and overcoming a number of obstacles throughout the year to get to this particular point. And I thought I would just review back a few highlights from this video that I did on the 31st of July that talked about a couple of those significant hurdles that they had to overcome. So this is just a overview. Take a look at this video for more information. Now, back in January, I reported that the Cybercell had gone into production and that here at Giga Texas, they had just transitioned to something called NMC 955. That's 90% nickel, 5% manganese, and 5% cobalt. And this was a significant change and helped with some of the energy density needed within the Cybertruck. And it took several more months until this was validated. And I'm going to give you some excerpts here from Jordan at the Limiting Factor in a video he just put out.
The Generation 2 4680 cell is 91% nickel, 5% cobalt, and 4% manganese, which would be loosely classified as an NMC 955 chemistry. The higher the nickel content of a lithium-ion cathode material, the greater the energy density. As far as I'm aware, there's nothing on the market that has a greater percentage of nickel and a lower percentage of cobalt. The second significant point about the NMC 955 cathode is that it validates a post on X by Joe Techmeyer. In January of this year, Joe reported that Tesla just finished the process of transitioning to NMC 955.
If you would like a lot more detail and information, I would refer you to this video by Jordan and the Limiting Factor. The link to this video is on the screen and in the video description. The changeover to NMC 955 introduced some additional issues that they had to overcome this year. One of them is the hardness of that dry cathode material, causing damage to these large rollers, which is used to roll out that dry cathode material so that it is used within the battery. Now, what would happen is that these rollers would get damaged and it would take up to about 45 days to repair. This obviously affected their production capability. The other impact was the delamination of the material that the rollers are made of. And this image here gives you a good look at what that was like. Of course, this not only damaged the equipment, but it also contaminated the dry cathode material, so it made it unusable for the battery production. Fortunately, by the middle of July of this year, they had overcome pretty much all of these obstacles. And when I saw this Cybertruck, it turns out it was the first dry cathode testing Cybertruck. And that was confirmed by Tesla employee Bonnie Eggleston here by this posting. And he is responsible for the battery cell production for Tesla. So this was a significant event, and it was great, again, that Bonnie was able to confirm that they had got to this point. This also validated what we had heard in the second quarter financial results meeting, where they talked about the validation testing of the dry cathode 4680. Also, they had some plans of what they were going to be doing for the ramp of the batteries throughout the year. And that was going to be able to take place sometime in the third and fourth quarters of this year. And with this announcement that they just made, it looks like they are definitely on track. This is not only great news to see what they are doing with the production of the 4680s, but at least with this production rate that they are managing, that easily sustains about a 2,000 per week Cybertruck production rate, possibly a little bit more. So anyway, I'm glad to be able to give you this update and show you the progress that is going on with 4680 production and what this may mean for the next year. It looks like it's going to be very promising indeed. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Good early morning here at Giga Texas. We're at the west side main entrance with the 3 new flagpoles that have been installed. And this is a great look of how it appears now. Soon the flags will be able to be hoisted up to the top, and I'm hoping we'll see that very soon. Now, bottom left of the screen, we see a lot of Model Ys leaving the factory. This is the exit point. They marshal them here, and then when they get all the drivers, they will take them over to the west outbound lot for processing through the end-of-line facility and then for transportation. So good sign with the Model Y production. As we get closer to the main entrance on the left, another quick view of the flagpoles and this landscaped section where all of the flagpoles have been installed. Again, these are going to be motorized because of the height of these flagpoles, and hopefully sometime this week we may see the first flags hoisted up as part of a flag ceremony, and just signifying that those are operational. So pretty neat. Here at this ramp and some of the trailers with the wooden crates, some more deliveries continue throughout this area as they do work on the inside, possibly modifying some of the production lines. As we move to the southwest corner, the Cybertrucks are also exiting the factory in numbers again this morning. And on the bottom left is where they are marshaled, waiting for the drivers to come up, and then they will take them over to the outbound lot. On the bottom right of the screen, there are workers on that fire water loop section, and it appears that they are doing some final work on that area. Here in this part of the south extension on the ground level where I've zoomed in is a look with some of the materials, that asphalt area, and also the path that some of the new vehicles will take to the boring tunnel. And they're still working on that wall with that kind of that gray texturized surface, and eventually that will be stained white. As we come across low level, a view into the south extension ground floor with all of the equipment, items, and some of the vehicles that are being prepared for installation. There are a lot of spools of cabling and also cabinets that are probably for the data center. Now, past this temporary wall, which is continuing to grow across this opening, and that scissors lift, if you look past, you'll see the boring tunnel, that structure with the fans on top, and as I zoom in, some of the concrete around the boring tunnel has been poured, and additional rebar is being installed kind of in that section between the concrete and the scissors lift. So this is a great sign that this side of the tunnel is getting prepared for operation, and we'll see the other side here momentarily. This is a look into where the manifolds, the cooling water pipes on the left, the temporary pumps, and the heat exchangers, and also some additional pipes here on the second floor near the exit or the window area. And as we pan to the southwest, this is a look at this asphalt section, the cyber pond, the southwest corner with this large opening, and just some of the activity that is going on here on this part of the site. As I pull away, I'll give you a look at the south end completely. The 3 tunnels are nearing completion. Also, the terracing of the grade is very evident here. I'll bring the drone down lower, and this will give you even a better perspective of how this south end is being terraced. There's white pipes on the left. That's part of the roof drainage system. Of course, the tunnels themselves for the emergency evacuation. And with this view, the height of the terracing that is involved here on the south end. The trucks give you a good sense of scale as far as how high each of the terraces are. As we get closer to the southeast tunnel, looks like almost all of the grade work next to the perimeter grade beam of the building is completed, except for that one area where they are working at that corner. As I come around the light posts, I will reposition the drone to take a look inside the southeast corner. This is where we have seen a lot of the interior walls erected on the left-hand side of the screen. This kind of ramp section that runs around the south end of the building next to the glass, and it's a different level to where that interior structure is located and the supercomputer cluster. Also a look into the second floor, some more spools of cable on the left, the ductwork and some additional equipment. And then coming back down, the heat exchangers on the left with some of the systems for the cooling plant, and what looks like some areas for receiving doors at some point. As I pan to the cooling unit, a couple of things to be noticing. The vertical riser pipes, they keep being put up and then test fitted, and then some of them removed. Also on the ground level, all of the pipes and manifold systems that have been installed. And we'll take a look at the east side here momentarily. As I bring the drone up to a higher altitude, look back across the roof section and how it appears today. Crews have been working on the top of the parapet wall where the glass is to install the final trim as well. And I showed you a better, closer view of that in my previous video. The southeast corner with a lot of the activity on the ground where the asphalt section is. The crane is very active as well. And we also see the forms, rebar, and what looks to be sort of sidewalks or walking areas in concrete along this part of the cooling plant. Also, some of the scaffolding and work on the ground level. Of course, the 6 large fans, they have been testing them, so there have been some points in time where we've been seeing them motion, but not today. Also on the ground, that dirt area, all of the temporary pumps, pipes, and systems that were used to clean out the cooling system water pipes have been removed, and we'll see them on the west side in the storage lot again. So it's a great sign that they are making progress to getting that cooling plant up and running. As we fly along to the east, there's River Road on the left where the vehicles are traveling. That last remaining pond that is part of the original sand and gravel mine here is still present. And it looks like that is intended to be remaining. The cleared path on the east side of the parking garage, more of the light poles still on the ground waiting for installation. The privacy fence is still in place along the ground floor on this east side where they're doing some new product testing, shall we say. And of course, on the ground, we'll see some of those shuttle buses that are picking up employees that park here and take them to work. As I maneuver the drone around back towards the main facility, I'll give you a look along the east side all the way to the north, and also on this part of the building where we see that truck just exited. That's some of the scraps from the stamping presses. This temporary platform is continuing to have these large spools of cable lifted up by the crane onto the top, and then you can see those kind of spool holders that's so that they can pull the cable out, and they are running it along this kind of a rack mount all along the parapet wall to the south to the supercomputer cluster, and to the north where it connects into conduit that goes to the electrical switch yard. And there are some developments there today. We'll see that later in the video. Here's a look at the space between the cooling plant and the extension. Also follow along the parapet wall so you can see the racks with all of the cables and where they start to enter into the building to that computer cluster. So I'm going to reposition the drone over the cyber pond and get ready to go over the highway, and we'll take a look at the west side. Really nice clear view of the West Support Facility all the way over to the downtown of the city of Austin in the upper right. One of the things I did notice, and I'll bring the drone down, is the work here at this water detention pond. And it is near where we see an outfall channel, possibly, so they may be doing some cleanup to make sure that this system is operational. A lot of vegetation has grown up into that water detention pond, as you can tell. Now, on the south side of River Road, all of these trenches that you see are for electrical conduit. Occasionally, we'll see some of the concrete vaults. I believe that this is all for lighting, as none of this road is lit. And at night it can be quite dark. So soon we should be able to see that all lit up. Now in this parking lot staging area that we are looking at, in addition to some of the dirt that's being stockpiled and used, And all of these transformers that are part of a electrical storage and solar system. We fly over the steel that is continuing to be stored here, and then to this last remaining area of the sand and gravel mine where they continue to do a lot of grade work, and they've been using the dirt here to do that terracing grade at the south end of the main building. As I start to turn back to the north, you can see that housing community very close to the property of Giga Texas and this large material staging yard. And as I come over the power lines, I'll bring the drone down. I'll give you a few closer looks at some of the materials that we see. The old windows on the bottom left that were taken from the south end, some superchargers on the left-hand side of the screen. All of these pipes and connection items are for the baghouse filtration plant being assembled on the east side of the casting machine structure. All of these pipes, particularly the blue, green, and red pipes and the pumps, are what they were using to clean out the cooling water pipes for the cooling plant on the southeast side that we had talked about previously in the video. And then these blue and white items are part of a cooling system for a data center. And of course, the 82 transformers here, which are still being stockpiled next to a lot of spools of cabling. So hopefully soon we'll start seeing where this is going to be installed and get some better ideas of how those are going to be used. Now, because we're on a Monday morning, the crews have used the weekend to clear out the outbound lot. And as you can tell, all the way across from the west to the east is mostly empty of vehicles. There is a grouping of Cybertrucks right in that middle section. This is where we've been seeing them loaded into covered vehicles and then moved off site. So we'll see if that continues the trend as we get into the week. I've repositioned over to the Boring Company site and also this area where the horizontal drilling operation is underway. This is so they can install the natural gas pipes, some of which you can tell have been fused welded together on the right. And this will connect under the Colorado River and the highway to the Sand Hill Energy Plant that will be using this as what they call the lateral extension. Now, in these ditches is where they have drilled some holes that will go underneath the boring tunnel and then come up through this other excavation with that orange fence, and that's where the natural gas pipeline will go. The Boring Company crews are hard at work with the new electrical conduit in the trench coming to the face of the tunnel, and of course the utility pipes are already in the tunnel, so these are making those connection points, and this will provide power for some of the sump system, electrical lighting, and possibly ventilation system that is used for the tunnel. So great to see work underway here. All of the natural gas pipeline and the conduit work is one of the reasons potentially that the boring tunnel has slowed down in its progress to be completed. But hopefully we'll see that done soon. All of the trench work in the dirt section on the bottom of the screen has been filled in. This is where we saw that blue treated water pipe, also conduit for the lighting system. The superchargers are pretty busy this morning as production comes up from the weekend. And the test track on the left is being used by Model Y and Cybertrucks. And it's good to see both the Model Ys and Cybertrucks being processed through this facility. There's been a few weeks where it looked like it was predominantly just the Cybertrucks. Of course, the Cybertruck here doing the figure 8 testing on the track. And on the north end, this is where all those Model Ys we saw leaving the exit point of the factory earlier in the video arrive. They are prepared for final inspections and checkouts through the end-of-line facility, just like the Cybertrucks. And then they exit on the south end, go through the testing track, and do some supercharging before they are moved to the outbound lot for pickup. As I pan to the north, a couple of things to show you. This concrete vault, which is part of a water drainage system, looks like it is completed, at least with the concrete pours. All the forms are gone. More of the natural gas pipe that continues all along this section, and it's part of what we were talking about earlier next to the Boring Company tunnel. And then, of course, this material staging yard with the two tents and some of the other material. Great view along this section where trench work is now underway. to eventually bury all of these pipes that have been welded together to make them long and contiguous. And then I did notice on this material staging yard, where we've been monitoring a lot of these steel items for quite some time, it looks like there's possibly, I think they may be picking up this steel and moving it to other parts of the site, or they could be delivering it. I wasn't able to stay here long enough to find out for sure, but you can tell with all of the steel here, there's definitely plans for some kind of construction using this somewhere in the factory or on the site. Here is where the trench work and the horizontal drilling goes underneath Tesla Road. Again, this is part of that natural gas pipeline. It exits here at this pit where you can see the dirt coming out. And now they have already started laying in the pipe going on a diagonal over to where you see some of the pedestals being set up. Now this whole area is going to be kind of a terminal with a lot of different pipes and connection points. And as we talked several videos ago, we went through the site plan and the building permit documents, and I was able to show you what this will look like once it is completed. But for right now, we do see earthwork on the left, part of the grade work that is underway, some of the excavations also underway, some pipe segments, and additional work to prepare this entire area. Also a great view looking back towards the main factory, the outbound lot, and the end of line in the upper right, just to give you context of where we are located. So let's cross over the highway and resume on the other side. Work continues on the top of the northwest corner of the factory, and also some additional items that have been picked up and placed on the roof here, waiting for their opportunity for installation. I believe that all of this is related to the work that we see coming up in the middle of the screen. This is where these enclosures are being mounted on new mounts that have been fixed to the roof. Also the ducted fans, you can see that kind of gray and yellow items, and some more of the mounts sitting on the roof section here, waiting for their opportunity to be installed. As we maneuver around the roof to drop down to take a look at what's going on the west side of the facility, a couple of things just to check on. The first is this section with all the concrete removed and that kind of that black construction fence. Again, not a lot of changes here, and still waiting to see what they will do. As we pass over these blue and white trucks, we see that bin with more of the recycled 4680 steel cans, and that work continues. We do see a delivery of all of these white items. This is usually related to production platforms and equipment. So it looks like they are continuing to do some work inside the 4680 cell portion, possibly getting more of those lines up and running. This is a nice low view of this section with the concrete removed, the yellow moisture barrier, and you can see those circular cylindrical cutouts into the concrete. Those are going to be bollards, so that suggests again there will be some equipment that needs to be protected from traffic in that area once the work is completed. I'm going to continue to fly around the northwest corner at a lower altitude. We'll take a look at what is going on in this north end. Castings for the Cybertruck continue to be stored all over the place here on the north side and also the east side of the main factory. And it just continues all along this section. Now, the production is Monday through Thursday, but that doesn't mean that they don't make castings Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they certainly do, and then they use all those for production during the week. So a good view of just, again, where all the castings are, some on the ground, some on rack mounts, and some of them are here in this parking lot as well. And it's not static. That means that they are using these constantly and replenishing them just inside this part of the factory with the Giga presses. And we see those two open vaults. That's where the electrical cabling has been pulled through the conduits, and that will eventually connect to those cables I showed you on the roof going along the parapet wall to the south end. More castings on the left. A lot of detail work here with this section. Bottom of the screen, more of the footing mounts have been poured in concrete. We can see similar here in the dirt section, and they're preparing the grade all along this area. I did notice next to the Elite trailer, there is this very long trailer that's usually used for extremely heavy items, and that suggests that a delivery has been made into the casting machine structure. Now here on the ground section with the concrete, we see that steel wall with that slanted roof section, and also the rails for bridge crane to move some of the dies in and out for processing. The baghouse filtration plant continues to see more of those pipe segments installed. We saw many of the segments destined for this plant over on the west side. And while I'm here, I'm going to take advantage of looking straight down, and you can get a good sense of the formwork that is underway, preparation for rebar to complete this entire section into concrete. And looking down at the baghouse filtration plant, it also just gives a kind of a current status of all of the equipment, the pipe segments, and the steel structure assembly, and also some of the tank units. More of the castings all along this part of the factory, continuing to look down at this section with the receiving doors, the new concrete segment, that retaining wall on the north end, and preparation for some additional concrete work and possibly plumbing work next to the receiving doors. And as I continue to pull away, I just wanted to give you a good view of the number of castings that continue to be stored all along this part of the factory. As I maneuver over to the old testing and calibration lot, we see more Cybertrucks have been produced and are temporarily being staged here before they move over to the outbound lot. The helicopter pad and that orange and white item, which was the Rainmaker, not used anymore, and the wind tunnel on the right. As I continue to pull back on this material staging yard, more of those pipe segments that are being used inside the south end. In addition to that, the steel corrugated pipe is used for the underground water management system. So I'm going to fly all the way up to the north, and let's take a look at the work at the electrical switch yard, which has some significant changes today. Now, we talked about all of the electrical conduit and cables that will eventually come up to the switch yard, and this is where all of that will originate. Now, on the left-hand side of the screen, you see those two white kind of control room trailers. Where that fencing is, I suspect that we will see a third once the new transformer is installed. Speaking of which, as I zoom in, this is a close-in view of where they are preparing for that foundation and the catchment basin. It'll look very similar to what you see on the left-hand side of the screen with the other two transformers. I expect this transformer to be similar in size and operation as the two that are already here. We will most likely see additional A-frames and steel structure to finish out this third bay all along this part of the site. And we do see the crews working on rebar that's associated with that slab or that foundation. And there will be additional work throughout this entire area to prepare for all of this connection point. And this is related to the Cortex supercomputer cluster. It's part of increasing the electrical capability for Giga Texas to sustain the operation of that extremely power-hungry computer data cluster. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a little higher, and we're going to fly over and take a look at what is going on at the die shop and cathode plant today. Here, the north side of the die shop, some more materials waiting for use inside. The chiller plant continues its operation, also using these temporary chillers and generators on the bottom of the screen. And this is just a view of how it looks today. Don't see any frost on the vaporizers, so it doesn't look like they've got the oxygen tanks and cryogenics working right now. As we fly down the alleyway, kind of a view of how this looks as they continue to use different kinds of dividers to prevent or slow down the traffic flow through that area. And then this is looking down at the ground where all of the underground steel corrugated pipe for the water management system has been installed and the trench work has been filled in. This is where the Tesla road will be extended through this section. There's additional steel corrugated pipe being stored, so we may see additional trenching in this area soon. Next to the south end of the crash test facility and the mechanics room, this is where all of that cable and the conduit is being trenched and installed along this area through this depression and then over this section into the temporary kitchen that is used on the left-hand side of the screen, and it obviously needs additional electrical capability, and that is what is underway. So that's the kitchen on the left with all of those vents and air conditioners, and of course the conduit with the concrete vault on the bottom of the right. As we fly over the water detention pond and take a look at the crash test facility, this is just a quick view of the activity here on the east side. It looks like a new tent is being erected in the middle of the screen. And of course, at the bottom of the screen, many of the vehicles that have undergone crash testing in the recent past. And of course, that work continues pretty much non-stop. It does look like there's a new fence that is being installed along the boundary between the dirt and the grass going into the water detention pond by the crash test facility. The wade pit is empty. The cell test lab is fairly busy in the structure on the bottom left, and of course it has that brown trailer supporting as well. So that'll bring to an end our view of Giga Texas on this Monday morning at the beginning of a work week. I hope that you enjoyed what we were able to talk about in the intro and throughout the video, and as always, thank you very much for your support.